Hey everyone, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the reality of young people training Jiu-Jitsu, talking about Cody's story, and also the role that he plays in the Jiu-Jitsu community.
Oh, no, I need you like Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Youth of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu podcast, otherwise known as YOBJJ. We're back here today and joined with a special guest, Cody Janez-Yahangiri. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yes, did I get it?
You got it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yes, beautiful. And so today it's a blessing, to have you speak with us today and all the way from California. So for those that don't know you, Cody, could you give a brief background on who you are and what you do, please?
Yeah, sure. First, I just want to thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on here and talk. I've seen a little bit of what you do, mainly through my professor. I know she's been on here, Professor Anna.
Yes.
And I kind of researched you a little bit after that, and you're awesome. So I'm very happy to be on here. I've been training for a little while. I've been training Brazilian Jiu-jitsu for about 9 years now. I am a recent brown belt under Professor Anna and Professor Raphael here at Gracie Baja Upland. I am 20 years old, so I'm still a youngin'. I don't know everything about life, so I'm still learning. Very thankful to do what I love at such a young age and to be able to find my passion at such a young age. I know not everyone's as lucky as I am. I am a competitor. I have won double gold at Nogi Worlds in 2018 as a blue belt, and I have won Pan Ams in the featherweight division as a purple belt in 2020. But other than that, I'm still achieving that goal. I'm still working for it, grinding every day.
Are new here. This is a platform, a community where we get to educate, empower, and have fun along this process and sharing through story and having this conversation. So with the first thing of the agenda, Cody, and for all those that are listening today, we're going to be diving deep into the assumptions / thoughts that young people may have when approaching jiu-jitsu or like even any form of sport or commitment. And so let's talk about the notion of relationships, and will this commitment, will this affect me in terms of relationships in future? Or hope if that makes sense. So share us your thoughts on this, please.
Definitely. I'm like I said, I still am. I'm pretty young. When it comes to relationships, I think relationships are not something to be messed with. Though I've always been very introverted ever since I was very little. I just never really liked the public space. I've never really liked to party. I've never really liked to go out, and I think that's definitely helped really evolve my jiu-jitsu and to keep me on the right path. I was never, I don't want to say never. I wasn't always who I am today. So I did have hardships, maybe not as hard as others. I definitely think I didn't have anything super hard or difficult. I always had food on my table. I always had a full belly at night. As a coach, I do know that sometimes relationship can get in the way of a lot of people's trainings. And there's many different ways that other spouses or significant others can look at it. Sometimes you get a little bit of the married types who maybe their significant other doesn't want them training with the opposite sex. Sometimes you get a little bit of younger people who get a girlfriend for the first time or get a boyfriend for the first time, and now they want to hang out with them all the time, and now you don't have any time to train. Now, since I was very interested throughout myself growing up and watching others grow up too, it's hard at a young age to really dedicate yourself to something. And I can share that with myself because even though I've been doing jiu-jitsu since I was 11 years old, I didn't know it was truly for me until about maybe 5 to 6 years in. Going through me, I tried to follow people's paths that I didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy trying to get a full ride scholarship to a big university. It just wasn't for me. And I'm very glad that I did take the choice that I did. It pretty much just got to the point where it was like, all right, do I drop jiu-jitsu or do I try to pursue something that I don't know is going to work out? And it's already too late. And it's hard. I got to admit, that's why I say I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful to even have the opportunity to be able to teach the next generation of little ones there at Gracie Baja Upland. And I'm so glad that my professors gave me the opportunity, because if it wasn't for them, man, I don't think I would be, I know I wouldn't be here, where I am today. doing what I love most because of their journey and coming from Brazil, from, I don't want to say nothing, but not even being able to speak English, coming here and opening up a school.
Yeah, that barrier
is paving the way for people like me. And I'm sure you've seen Coach Jason before. Professor has probably talked about him.
Yes.
So I'm very grateful.
Jiu-jitsu has been an area where we can have that goal to be on the right direction through life. And of course, through the opportunities where you've been coaching at GB Upland. But also as well that I commend you for is that you don't be easily persuaded by others and their ambitions. Because I feel like, yeah, as a culture or just your environment, we can be so influenced, we can be so persuaded into fitting in with the majority. Oh, because my friends are doing this, I'm going to do it as well. I'm just going to like bandwagon it, you know? And so like taking jiu-jitsu as a path, not many people do that, you know, not many young people like you were talking about, you know, and I definitely agree that it's a strenuous journey. It's going to be a lonely path, you know, that we take. And so there it comes again with its own obstacles and adversities. What your thinking process was in your journey.
Yes. So when I was younger, I was very in my head. I would try to overthink a lot of things, and jiu-jitsu is definitely one of them. And that was one thing that I wasn't sure about, because I wasn't too sure about jiu-jitsu. I wasn't sure how far I can take anything else, because jiu-jitsu was the only sport that I did. I was a very athletic kid. I would always run around. You can ask my mom, man. My mom would tell you I'd be up and down the walls, and I'd come home and I'd eat nothing. I was such a skinny kid, and she tried to give me any sport, but I wouldn't do it. 9, my stepdad came into the family, and by the age of 11, he introduced me into jiu-jitsu. Just like any other kid, you know, no, I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get kicked. And he said, no, that's not what it's about. You know, come in and try it. My little sister ended up trying it, not me, because I didn't want anything to do with it. Sister was like 5 or 6, man, and she was ready to go, and I was like, nope, I'm sitting in the chair.
I'll just be watching on the sidelines.
You do eggs, because I wasn't too sure about jiu-jitsu just yet, but that's really all I knew. I didn't know about kind of what dedicating myself to school 100% was, because I never really liked school. I wasn't necessarily a bad student. I was a straight A student up until I believe my midpoint in high school, when I started kind of thinking about, is this really what I want to do? And I started kind of taking my attention away from school a little bit more. I think definitely that mental battle with me trying to figure out if jiu-jitsu really was for me. That was the hardest part. In jiu-jitsu, I want to even say, as some of my competitors, I think a lot of my competitors that I fight against even to this day, they've won much more. And I think that's because they dedicated themselves to the sport much before I did. I think now I'm starting to kind of hit my point where I can be, you know, up there on top of the bracket a little bit more, fighting for that first or second place. When I got my car, and then I was like, hey, professor, you have a job opening? I need a job. I need to pay this car. And then she was like, oh, I told you were going to need me one day. And then so since that day, I've been working nonstop with her, because, you know, now I have bills and stuff. Got to pay my rent. And but no. That's how I started coaching again with her. I went to college for almost a year and a half. I finished a year, and that was actually very interesting. I definitely recommend, if people are trying to stick with jiu-jitsu, but also further their education, it can definitely be done. It's definitely not something that you can just say, I got to dedicate myself 100% to this or 100% to that. You can do it at the same time. Mikey Musumeci, right? Who I think he was studying to be a lawyer, if I'm not wrong. And that guy was training full time and won black belt world championship that same year. What I want to do and what I enjoy. So did I go to school for a little bit? Yes, I did. I tried to force myself a lot, and that was another big mental thing for me. At the time, I was living with my parents, and my parents wanted me to go to school really bad. And that was a big conflict between me and my parents that we had a hard time kind of getting through. And in my story, you know, Professor Anna was always there for me. And I was such a hard kid to deal with, man. I'm so surprised she didn't kick me to the curb, especially when I was younger. I would get, anybody can ask her. I've given her such a freaking hard time when I was a kid. And I don't know why that woman still loves me, man. But she's been with me for so long. And even throughout the hard times, seeing her still tell me to get my stuff together. And, you know, I still believe in you, even though maybe you don't train as much. She knew pretty much that she could create something much better through me. And that's something too that kind of was put into my head, and I had to think about when I was making that big transition of once I graduate high school, should I train full time or should I go to school full time, and what should I do? Blue belt, 17, when you're still going through high school a little bit.
What's next?
It can be a tough time. Like you said, there's a lot of kind of peer pressure, which I never really received, but I've seen it before. I've never really been into drugs. It's never been my thing. Never really tried anything. So I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I've never been interested in trying anything, a negative kind of, I guess you could say, intonation with that kind of stuff, because I see how people start relying on it and they become very negative with that kind of stuff. How humans need something to do. When people, it's very easy to kind of fall into a I'm useless category. If you don't know what you want to do, or you don't know what you're practically good at, you get kind of both sides. And I got both sides through jiu-jitsu, and I got both sides through my mom specifically. When my mom was a single mother, because my stepdad came in when I was 9. So my mom was a single mom. I had 2 other siblings, and we all shared a room. So, like I said, I didn't have a horrible childhood. I didn't have the best childhood. She was working as hard as she could, and you know, she still does to this day. She still works very hard. She's an amazing mother, amazing woman. And but through her, because of her struggle, I believe she really set school as a big stone on top of my head, and that I needed a good education to get a good job, like a doctor or a lawyer, just like how any parent would. We want you to make money.
For sure.
And that was pretty hard in her head. I couldn't get that one out of her head. I tried many times, but she wouldn't let that one go. My stepdad was a little bit more like her as well. He was much more open-minded, but Professor Anna was the main one who kind of instilled do what you like to do. Because if you do what you like to do, the money will naturally come. It doesn't matter, you know, you can be the best garbage man in the world.
That's it.
And, you know, some company's going to see you and they'll be like, man, this guy picks up every person's garbage in the most efficient way. Hey, let's pay him this much. So necessarily drawn to medals. And that's something I've learned over the good time that I've been coaching. You know, Professor Anna's awesome. She's won every tournament you can think of. But I can guarantee you, if people came into that school and she had a bad attitude, they wouldn't be there. So you can really tell that the people at Gracie Barra Upland, they're there because they love to do that. And I believe that's why the school has become so successful in a short amount of period of time. I believe that energy is felt through people. People feel when someone actually enjoys what they do. Tell someone, hey, you love to do this. I know you've only been doing it for, you know, maybe maximum 3-4 years, but I believe you can do it. Put all your eggs in that basket. When you're like 17, you're like, what are you talking about? You're crazy, man.
You're crazy.
Like, what the heck? There's so much more I can do. I'm so young. But I think what's really hard to understand when you're in that stage is is investment, investing in yourself. That's something I didn't understand until I graduated high school, and I was able to start training 2 times a day. And then I started, over that course of that year, my jiu-jitsu started to skyrocket up. And I started getting much, much better, and my positional game started getting better. And I felt like I could flow through my jiu-jitsu rather than just kind of running around. Jiu-jitsu practitioner as well. You start learning something, but you really don't get it until about maybe 6 months in. Right. So jiu-jitsu is a big time investment. Especially competitively. Like I said, I don't think you need to be a world champion to have a very successful school, because I think although that does help, but I don't think it's needed. You can have a really good, you know, fundamentals program or a really good advanced program that draws people in. There's many different things that you can have. Understand the difficulty, but one piece of advice I would give is do what you love, man. That's a true statement. And invest in yourself. Invest in yourself with what you love, because you're gonna end up loving yourself much more. You're gonna be much more happy. You're gonna be much more energetic around those people that, you know, are working those 9 to 5s, and they come in. That's my favorite part of my job, honestly. Whenever I teach the fundamentals class and they come in from their 9 to 5, because I know I wouldn't be able to ever do that. I would never be able to wake up super early, drive 2 hours to LA, like 2.5 hours back, and then train and then go home and do it again the next day. I have so much gratitude for those people who do that.
So to kind of project from what I've been listening to, Cody, the reality of being a young person, there were the two sides of the coins that you're just describing. Like one side is when we don't find the purpose, we're kind of stuck in the abyss of life. Like we don't know what we're doing. We're kind of like floating. And then in a way, it's so easy to think like what you're talking about, the negative self-belief about ourselves. And then the other side, there's a side where we actually pursue our passion and our purpose. And so it's amazing to hear what you've, you know, been had and are expressing your gratitude for. And I think with you being curious and to again reflect it on yourself, because find yourself and to be curious, because like you're talking about before, you took a dip in the water in the community college, you know, and then found it out that it wasn't for you. I think it's taking that leap. Like you have to explore those experiences, right, to really find what aligns for you, if you know what I mean.
They like to do. This is something I've seen hold a lot of people back is relationship. I've seen people quit jiu-jitsu because of relationship, and it's something really tough to see. And a lot of times what actually happens, I actually had a discussion with a guy today. And he was saying that his wife didn't want him doing jiu-jitsu. And later on, he ended up getting divorced, and the next week he came back to jiu-jitsu and signed up.
Oh my goodness. What a crazy turn of events.
That was crazy. Just to kind of put it into perspective, how some people can be. You can step up to here. I'll do this for you. When people start telling me, like, for example, if one of my buddies comes up and starts talking about his relationship problems with me. Hey, my girlfriend doesn't like this or this. And I say, okay, hold on, real quick. Tell me how much you're willing to put up with. And he goes, okay. You know, he tells me his whole story, whatever. And I'm like, okay, are you willing to put up with that? And then they're like, well, yeah, or no, whatever the answer is. I'm like, okay, well, if yes, number one, if you're willing to put up with that, then I'm probably not the right person to be talking to. To the relationship scene. Through high school, I had one girlfriend, didn't end up lasting. And now I do have a girlfriend now. She does train jiu-jitsu. She's a really awesome supporter. She trains with me. I just got her purple belt today, actually. So that was something that we're going to go celebrate later. Felt that smoothly. Especially for me. Imagine, for example, me. A guy that goes to school. I maybe train once a day, furthering my education and spending time with my girlfriend. And then suddenly one day I come up to her and I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't want to go to school anymore. I want to just train 2 times a day, work out, and do this thing called jiu-jitsu. Good luck, right? Good luck. So that's why I believe it's really important. But that's the hard thing is I think a lot of people today really try to find comfort in others before they find comfort in themselves.
Comfort.
You're getting more excited than I am. Right? A little bit more to myself and not worrying about anyone else. Because honestly, I didn't give a damn whatever everyone else did. I didn't care what anyone thought of me. I didn't care what anyone else did. I didn't care what I did. Of course, to an extent I did, but I just didn't care other people's perception of me. I really didn't, because I knew once, you know, I got started, I'd be me and they'd be them. So
that's awesome.
That's that's the big thing with relationships. And I just don't think people know when to set the boundary. And it's very hard to set the boundary when you truly don't know what you love. I think another thing, when I give everything for those are people I truly love, and those are things that I truly love. But I definitely couldn't say I loved anything else if I didn't love jiu-jitsu first, because jiu-jitsu is me. Jiu-jitsu is who I am. And that's what I think is really missing out of our younger generation right now.
Yes.
That's all I have to say on that one.
Yeah, I'll further reiterate, finding comfort in others rather than yourself. I think that's like a huge thing. Like, if anyone's out there listening, take that away, write it down, stick it up in the wall. Like,
stick it on the wall.
Like, I think many people, and like myself, like maybe have those like thoughts again, because I think, like because with that, finding comfort in yourself, you get to realize that those kind of boundaries that you were talking about, right? And it should be all aligned. I picture, like, similar to what you said with the relationship and love, being serious, it should be a bond between two people that are working to become a better version of themselves. Like, it's selfish, like, if you're not being yourself around them, if that makes sense. Do you pursue your passion, or do you pursue someone that you like? Like, I think that's like a really hard thing to kind of do. But yeah, what would you suggest for someone that's like, battling that internal thought within themselves?
I don't think it's hard, man. Adios. Yeah. If you don't like what I do, see you later. I'm out. I'm out of there like quicker than you can even see,
Yeah.
100%. It's anything. It doesn't have to be a relationship either.
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been on the, if you're not training, you got to be with me, and that's not a good way to live your life either.
Yeah.
But now with the girl I'm with, it's she understands and everything, and she's super sweet, and she enjoys everything and the struggle that I put, and she believes in me, and it's you just got to know when to draw the line. You really do. That's something that's never been hard for me. If something is difficult for me for no reason at all, like, see you later, I'm out. You go make someone else's life hard, but not mine. My life's hard enough.
Yeah.
I don't need you helping that, I need something that's going to help me out, that when I'm down, you can turn to me and say, hey, get your lazy butt up and start getting to work again. I need something that's there to push me, that can tell me, yes, you can do it. So it's a tough decision, and I know it is, especially because when that's all you kind of have at the time, and maybe you're just discovering your passion, or you have to is this kind of bearing over my passion? Am I going to be able to do what I like to do? Okay, you're already there, man. You better start thinking. You better start thinking much easier, because there's no long and hard thought about that. That's an easy adios.
And life is so difficult as it is, like you're talking about. We can be like dragged out to so many different directions, and it's already as hard as it is. And if you're having those like self-doubt within yourself, whether it be investing your time in this event, this project, or relationship, like, you have to, again, like what you're talking about, drawing the line with it. But what would be your greatest piece of advice for all those that are listening for today, if you could say something for that, please?
If you know that 100% you love something with your heart, and no matter what happens, that's a good way to test if you really love something or not. If, for God goodness sake, the worst thing happens, whether it's you lose everyone that you know, or if you, I don't know, when I say what the worst thing happens, the first thing that pops up in your head, that's the worst thing. Okay. If that happens, are you still going to go back to what you love to do? Or are you going to kind of give up right there? That's how I can really tell. Was I sat down one day, and then I was like, well, I'm kind of already going the wrong way mentally. But the one thing that was always still there for me was jiu-jitsu. I never stopped training. I didn't train as much as I should have, which is not a good thing, but I definitely saw that jiu-jitsu was still there. And that's when I made my full commitment, and I realized that, man, this is what I love to do. What's wrong with me? Why am I being the way that I am? So that would be my one biggest piece of advice. I regret it if you don't. Every person that I've talked to, they always say it, man. They always tell me, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done that. And it's such a sad story to hear. It's such a sad thing to hear when you hear someone talk about their dreams and their ambitions and everything that they wanted to do, and then they couldn't do it because of this, or because they got into a relationship and they wouldn't let them, and they let that control them. They made the mistake of having a kid. They just from their own choices, they didn't follow it. Their passion. I know half of the people, I want to say even more than half the people in this world have no idea what the heck they want to do, or they're working a job that they don't want to do. I want to say maybe like 90% of the people in this world don't do what they love. If you don't know what you want to do, try everything. If someone invites you somewhere, go. Even if you're introverted, and that's the most hard thing, because I'm very introverted as well. Don't be afraid. I feel like so many people are afraid to go out and waste time, and you're wasting time sitting there doing nothing. Go find out what you like to do. Find out how to become, it's kind of like sad to say it, but useful to yourself, purposeful to yourself. Sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself, kind of like how I did when I was trying to figure everything out, isn't going to help you. It's not going to do anything for you. Get up. And if something's holding you back, bye. Whoop. Get it out of there. Flick it out of the way. Don't be afraid to cut things that are holding you back.
100%. Oh my goodness. It's just a leap of faith that we have to kind of dive into, right? And then from there, it's actually where we are able to kind of see the fruit, to kind of see our passion, if it's there or whether it's not. And it's a tough thing to do, definitely. Like, again, based on our environment or our personality traits, but it's something that's needed, I think, to mature, especially being like an adult, and to accept that, it's not gonna all come to us on a silver platter. Life isn't gonna give you this, your gift, straightforward, but you have to really, it's a process. And I love how you're talking about it's better than us or whoever out there that's better doing something rather than like sitting in your room and just like thinking about it and then draining your thoughts, because at the end of the day, it's not gonna help you at all, right?
If life was handed to you on a silver platter, what would the point of life be?
Ooh.
It's when things are hard, that's when it becomes you earned something.
So again, very much appreciate you in sharing your time today and being part of the Youth of Brazilian Jiu-jitsu community. With that said, everyone, that concludes another episode to the YOBJJ podcast. A big round of applause to Cody for coming on today. Really appreciate you. And with that said, everyone, make sure to, if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below your favorite piece of advice from today. And with that said, I'll see you in the next episode. Keep smiling, keep training hard. So here, treino duro. Peace.